Welcome, everybody. Um, and Happy New Year to those I haven't given a Happy New Year to, which is like most people anyway. Right, we've got the first executive of meeting for this current 2026. Apologies, we have Julie Wood, Fran Victory. I think I've put their apologies in, and that's it. I think everybody else is here, isn't there? Beverly's not here. Ah, okay. I haven't heard, so possibly Beverly as well. Okay. Declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests. We don't have any. Confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting, which was 18th of November. We got anybody be happy with those? Propose it. Everybody's happy? Yep, okay. Chair's announcements, there are none. Public participation, none. Medium-term financial plan. Okay, so we've got the medium-term financial plan for 26-27 going to 28-29. And we have in front of us to review and recommend that Council approve this updated medium-term financial plan for the 3 years up to 28-29. So normally this is a 5-year plan that we put forward. So this with LGR and stuff is we're looking at a three-year plan because we will not be around if it all goes to plan by the government in 3 years. So the background to this is the usual. It's a framework for revenue and capital spending decisions, and it's an annual update. It provides the basis for the business plan, which will come up next month, I believe, and that'll be in the detailed budget. We'll see that. The philosophy is the same as previous years. It's to maintain financial stability, and with the LGR, I think we've said that there's 3 years ahead of us in this particular medium-term financial plan. The revenue budget assumptions are that we've got a balanced budget and no long-term uses of balances to meet recurring baseline spending. And the minimum that we have for the general fund balance is something at least £3 million in the general fund. If any savings are to be made, these come from efficiencies, budget reductions and income increases. The council tax increases, our policy has been to keep this as low as possible. And this year is absolutely no different from that. The capital reserves will be maintained at a level to avoid to need borrowing. And you can see in table 1 a list of assumptions, and we aim to remain debt-free for the period in the normal prudent fashion that we've adopted. The revenue and budget increases, there are additional costs you can see in summary in table 2, and the full cost of waste food collection is estimated there at 1.3 million, or just over 1.3 million. And as part of a shared service, there's an increased investment of 100k for housing, going towards the housing team. We've got a shared service with Witchaven. There's an LGR cost that we've estimated to be, will come up for about 500,000. And we've put a provision of 1.8 million. This is made against our council priorities for this coming year. So it's something that we'll be able to draw on for whatever investments we wish or are able to make over the coming year. Interest rates, I think, may weaken. I think they've been quite high for, or they've held up and fluctuated a little bit over the last few years, is maybe the way to put it. And they were higher than expected. There is a bit of a downward pressure on them, but we will see where that ends up. If they come down, we will have less income from our interest rate returns. If there's any extra spend that occurs, we will need to meet this through extra savings based on what we've got in this particular plan. And the total cost or net budget increase is 10.69 million for this coming year and 11.71 million by the end of the 3rd year. The cumulative efficiencies and budget savings. The efficiency and budget savings are to made year on year, and you can see these in Table 3. And by 29/30, there's 375,000 been identified through the business plan. Government funding, fairer funding. Eventually, this has been published, so we've got some sort of certainty, if that is the right word, on where we're headed with that and what the impact may mean for us. We've got current money from local business rates, revenue support grant, and the EPR, the extended producer responsibility payments. The business rates have been reset. The baseline is 1.65 million for 26-27, and we will, if those rates are more than that, we'll get a percentage of that above. If they're below, if our collection of business rates is below that, we'll lose out correspondingly. We have assumed business rates to be flat until 26-27, after which we'll reset. The revenue support grant for the coming year is 3.9 million. And it will reduce in the next 2 years, and they'll be offset by damping payments. With by the end of the period, they'll be down to 3.1 million in 28-29. Council tax, we're assuming that there are no council tax increases for the duration of this plan, which is for the next 3 years. The assumption is no council tax increases. And it is assumed that the tax base will rise with build-out rates with a growth of 1.5% per annum. The general fund balance estimates can be seen in Appendix A, and as I've already said, the balances are greater or equal to the £3 million to assure financial stability. The capital programme, you can see that proposed there is £18.7 million over 3 years. Realising assets for disposal and build-up of capital reserves will be kept under review. We will be building up our capital reserves as per normal. Phased replacement of vehicle fleet is a £500,000 refurbishment for the depot, and there's an estimated capital reserves at the end of that 3-year period of £35,000. And that's where we end up at the end of the period, where we will be transitioning, one expects, into a unitary council. So thank you for that. Any questions on that? Natalie?
Not questions, really, just praise. I trust Andy and his team implicitly and know that under his stewardship we're in a sound financial position and have been ever since I became elected to this council. I don't anticipate any change to that, which is something not many councils can be confident in. I don't really need to draw a comparison with the county council, who, as we know, are facing bankruptcy and are still making bizarre political decisions and appointments. But I'm sure this debate will be unproblematic and swift, unlike the one we're facing on Thursday at county. So thank you, Andy.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Any other? David?
Yeah, just a couple of things. There's some talk now about the business rate and that affecting pubs, etc. Do you think that's going to have any implications or likely to have any implications on your budget?
Andy?
No, absolutely none. Has no effect on our budget whatsoever.
Okay. And I guess the only other thing that struck me was that there's always the risk that all this devolution is going to fall through. What do we feel that we ought to be taking some sort of precautions or have a plan B in case that happens? Because I can see that if it did, we would have quite a big increase in the council tax to get back where we should be.
Yeah, I think there's a staged, this is a staged process over 3 years. So as we go through this period, we will see what the government changes are, if any, and we can, within this time frame, actually make adjustments accordingly. So it's not set in stone, but that's the estimate where we are at the moment.
Can I have a seconder, please? I'm happy to second that, and just to make the point, obviously, as we move towards the end of the proposed council term, our expenditure would drop off, which is where we're able to show that we don't need to keep increasing the council tax to maintain the level of services that we're delivering. If we anticipate having to deliver those services beyond the end of our expected term, then that's something we'd have to look at, and it would be impacted by the reserves, etc., that we have.
Okay, take a vote on that.
So all those in favour, can you raise your card now, please? That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you, everyone. The next item is the pay policy statement 2627. And the recommendation is that the council be recommended to approve the pay policy statement for 2026-27. This is a statement on the pay policy to review and be recommended for the approval of the whole council. So we're just putting that forward at the moment from executive. A few brief comments. Chief officer pay is determined by national agreement. The system for grading follows the Hay evaluation methodology, and the pay scales progress is subject to annual performance appraisal. There are no performance related bonus elements to pay. Mileage and subsistence are nationally determined as well. All other levels are subject to National Joint Council scales. So this has been all negotiated nationally. No staff are paid lower than pay scale 3 in Malvern Hills. And all staff are supported in the local government pension scheme by the employer contribution, which is 13.6% of salary. So the recommendation is simple, straightforward. And Jeremy seconding that.
I'll second it, say worth every penny.
And more. Natalie.
Yeah, just briefly, I think I'm correct in saying that we pay a living wage here to our staff, in which case I think it should be stated in the papers, because that is actually something to be proud of, and I didn't read it in there. I'm not sure if there's a little symbol on the web page that some employers have, you know, like saying we are a living wage employer or anything like that, but I'm proud of the fact that we do that, and you know, as Jeremy said, our staff are excellent, and you know, they deserve praise and the pay that they're due.
Okay. Anybody comment? No? Shall we take the vote on that?
So all those in favour, could you raise your cards now, please? That's unanimous.
Okay. This is good. We're going to be away early, I think. Right. Now it's for the big one. David, statement of licensing policy review. Oh, it's coming over. Bang.
Yeah,
Did that the last
this is
time
one of
as well.
those that is going to move over to the environment portfolio. So although David's here, I will take the lead on it. Basically, this came before the council last year, and the council asked that it go out to consultation. You will see in the backing papers there was extensive consultation. I think there was about 8 responses. Predominantly all of which agreed with the statements that are being made. So if you go through the document, as is usual, we have highlighted in the document in red where you've got changes from the previous policy to the new policy. Those changes really take into account guidance around terrorism, which is Martin's Law, some guidance around providing kits for people, blood kits, and recommendations around knife crime and so on and so forth. Recommendations around making sure that you deliver equalities. And one thing in there, for example, is the Ask for Angela, the promotion of the Ask for Angela. So all in all, I think it is a good balance to encouraging our licensed premises to take a more proactive approach to safeguarding. Public has agreed during the consultation, so I'm happy to propose that we adopt this.
Chair, I'd like to second this, if I may, with my licensing chair hat on. These are eminently sensible, logical, realistic proposals that merely reflect where we need to be. I don't think there's anything controversial in here at all, and I echo Councillor Owenson's views that this is positive in all respects. So let's do it.
Thank you very much. I would like to congratulate the officers here in bringing this in this format. It makes it very easy from our point of view, and a lot of the pubs and everybody else, they know the rules, they know the regulations, and this shows that the red bits are the bits that are changing, and that's what you've got to take account of. So I'm very impressed with that. I wish all reports were like that. Make it a lot easier. You've only got to read about 10 pages rather than 80 pages. But yes, and I'm very pleased to see that the bleed kits are in there. A bit disappointed that there's nothing to do with defibrillators in public houses or anything like that as well. But I'm sure that that will come in the longer term. But very happy. Thank you, Niall.
Yeah, just firstly, from what Jeremy just said, has there been some reallocation of portfolio responsibilities? If so, can we have that information as soon as possible so we know who to contact? Thank you. But just in relation to this, there is some missing information. I think there's some dates missing in paragraph 4.7, so I'm assuming they'll be completed before any of this is published. But other than that, I haven't really got many more comments to make. I think we discussed and commented on the other red sections, including Ask for Angela and Martin's Law, when we agreed that this policy should go out for public consultation. And it looks like these are accurately summarised in Appendix 2. So just to repeat what David said, really, thank you to Niall, because I found the way that this report has been presented to be really clear and really easy to read and understand. And the survey responses do make interesting reading. And I should think they probably accurately reflect the views of the wider public, if only we could get more people to respond. And I just wondered which Paris Council had took the time to do so. But that's all from me, really. It's an excellent report. Thank you.
Just on Councillor Murphy's first point. So recently it's been agreed that the responsibility for WRS, including licensing, will transfer from David's portfolio to Jeremy's portfolio, and I'll be writing to all members this week through my roundup to let you know that. Very recent thing. Thank you.
David?
Yeah, just a thought, particularly about the bleed kits. I don't know, should we or can we make it a requirement that blood kits should be in all these premises, as a first aid kit would be, etc.? Just a
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to respond to that, yes, it'd be nice if we could mandate that all of these premises have them, but we can't, unfortunately. There isn't a legal responsibility on the premises to have them, but in other areas where we've introduced it and we've carried out some publicity, most of the licensing premises get on board. You know, it's one of those. It's a good thing to have, and it's a positive when it comes to advertising their premises as a responsible licensee. So we'll certainly carry out some communication with the licensed premises, firstly around the revisions that it's been agreed, and then just any feedback from this committee.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can just add to provide reassurance to David and also remind members that we do also have a council plan priority within my portfolio area around defibrillators, and that also includes in encouraging where we can to include bleed kits too. So more information will be available, but as members may recall that we're forming a relationship and an agreement with Heart Start Malvern to see how we can provide additional skills training, but also funding for community organisations, which we would certainly consider, particularly, you know, pubs in rural locations, as potentially eligible to apply for funding for both defibrillators, training skills, but also the cabinets and the various things that you need for those as well. So further information will come to councillors once that has been launched, because of course we always rely on you to let people know it's there to apply to, but it is absolutely one of our key priorities.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, on that. Thank you to Niall for all your work over the years on this, but I think I'd like to echo what Natalie and David are saying in the committee. Thank you for all your efforts on this. We're ready to go to the vote.
All those in favour, could you raise your cards now? That's unanimous.
And lo and behold, me Hercule, we are finished.